Meet Kelly. Yes, you heard that right. Amber Kelly had an odd sense of humour when she brought her daughter into the world of chaos and despair, otherwise known as Echo Creek. Despite the turmoil at home where her parents battled their inner demons, Kelly found solace in the world outside her cramped trailer. She explored the vast fields and forests that surrounded her park, imagining a life for herself and her younger siblings beyond the poverty, violence, and addiction that had plagued her family for generations. Kelly studied hard and graduated at the top of her class before joining the police force, driven by a deep desire to protect others from the same pain and suffering she had endured. Despite facing discrimination and skepticism from her colleagues, Kelly proved herself time and time again, earning the respect and admiration of her peers. Just when she thought she had broken free from the chains of her youth, her beloved Kentucky was struck with a deadly Knox virus. As the world around her crumbles, Kelly has found herself facing the greatest challenge yet: the fight for survival in the wake of this deadly pandemic, for herself and for anyone who has ever felt lost and alone. Will Kelly's grit and determination be enough to survive this apocalypse? Welcome to my Project Zomboid playthrough with a little twist. This isn't just about surviving the apocalypse. I've got a couple of extra challenges to complete along the way. The first is to wipe every zombie off the face of Kentucky. And the second, in every town I pass through, I must build a fully functioning, self-sufficient safe house for any survivors who might still be out there. I'm not just fighting the undead. I'm rebuilding the world, one zombie biff at a time. Now let's get back to Kelly as she vows to turn Kentucky from a graveyard into a sanctuary. On the edge of Echo Creek, Kelly wakes up groggy and disorientated in a stranger's house. As she gathers her bearings, Kelly draws on her police training and inner strength and searches the abandoned home, looking for any items that will aid with her survival. Ooh, canned soup and tomato, oh heck. Realizing there were no weapons to be found, Kelly slipped out the back door, heart pounding into the unknown beyond. Her thighs ached with each crouched step as she stayed low, foraging in silence, hidden from the wandering dead. The graveyard, darkly poetic with its roaming corpses, forced her to follow the river's edge until, at last, a house appeared in the distance and seemingly untouched. A crowbar! You know what this means, Kelly. It's time to do some biffing. Just across the river, Kelly found a giant red barn. There was no loot. However, a field full of sheep could be very useful in the near future. Whilst looting the neighborhood, Kelly happened upon this unlocked vehicle. It had gas and it was in decent condition. Okay, so I'm just gonna put up some sheets. Pretty sure the area is clear, but just in case, I don't want any zombies peeping in. Okay, I think it's time to do some looting. It doesn't feel right rummaging through the remains of a burnt down house, but Kelly was in full survival mode and was on a mission. The next house was pretty empty too, but Kelly grabbed the little food that was in their fridge. Oh, and their curtains. Kelly stole their curtains. The third house came with a few friends. Looked like somebody had already been here, but as Kelly was leaving... hello? Basement zombie? To Kelly's surprise, the dingy basement was safe, and Kelly thought she had won the lottery. A screwdriver, a toolbox, a wrench, and a tarp. So much useful loot, and Kelly put all of it in her pockets. That is a lot of purple. I mean, I like purple, but that's a lot, I'm just saying. Ooh, pizza. Yoink. Kelly stepped towards the next house. The windows were boarded up. Someone had tried to keep the world out. More zombies lingered nearby, restless and slow. Who had lived here? It was the first sign of life since everything fell apart, and with it came a spark of hope. Maybe someone had survived. Maybe Kelly's family had. Whoever had taken shelter here was long gone, the front door a silent witness to whatever had happened inside. The rooms were hollow, stripped of anything useful, just echoes and dust. Kelly stood in the silence, the weight of disappointment settling heavily in her chest. Another dead end. Another reminder of how alone she really was. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Kelly turned back towards her makeshift shelter. The day had offered little, just more questions. But as she passed a large white van, she paused. With that van, she could go further. She could find more. Perhaps she could find them. Oh, a generator magazine. Oh, that's huge. Kelly eased her new van into the driveway. The soft crunch of gravel beneath the tires, the only sound breaking the still evening air. The weight of the day lingering on her shoulders, and began unloading the mountain of supplies that she had carefully gathered, enough to last her a while, enough to feel safe. Inside, surrounded by the quiet hum of a place not yet made home, she curled up on a chair with a manual on generators. The words blurred slightly, but she carried on reading. If the nights were going to be dark, she would be ready. She would find her own light. Kelly couldn't sleep. The silence of the night clawed at her thoughts, so she slipped out into the darkness and found herself drawn to the old garden centre down the road. Ooh, okay. Do you have any loot for me? I mean, I don't smoke, but I'm gonna take the cigarettes just in case. Nothing really of any use here. Okay, let's have a look at the second one. Oh, screwdriver, nice. I'll take the water. Forgot about the boot. Hey, toilet paper. As she moved through the aisles, her hands methodically clearing the shelves of tools and seed packets, a strange ache loomed in her chest. She had once run barefoot across these same floors. Now, each item she took felt like reclaiming a piece of that forgotten joy. Ooh, this one already has a key. Amazing. I need to get back home. I'm not looking too hot right now. Look at this collection of moodles going on. Back at base, Kelly unloaded the stolen crates, stacking them neatly before filling them with her hard-earned loot. Battered books she had hoped to lose herself in, and tools she'd one day use to build something that lasted. I don't think there'll be anything in here, but let's, oh, generator, nice. Another crowbar, amazing. Kelly spent the evening leveling up her biffing skills and clearing out the houses. She washed the blood and sweat off herself and her clothes before realizing that those pesky zombies had ruined her clothing. Kelly had been a busy loot goblin, so had plenty of rags and thread to patch it all up. She sat down to read a book on foraging and then ventured out to practice the skills. Ooh, vehicle and a trailer. Let me just mark this on the map. Kelly stopped for a PB&J before hitting the jackpot at a local market. Oh wow, that's a lot of car stuff. I'm gonna come back for it. Let me just pop this on the map. Ooh, they have duck plasters. Kelly snuck down the stairs to the dingy basement to reveal a hidden gemstone. Shelves upon shelves of books, and Kelly took as many as she could fit in her pockets. She failed to pick up the bookcase. Kelly went to take a nap, except it was an accidental sleep, and she woke up At nearly 2 a.m., whilst waiting for the sun to rise, Kelly researched how she could make an axe and foraged around for the flint module that she would need. Ooh, a red Jenny? Okay, I need to remember where this is. Kelly had wandered further than she thought, and she was about to give up until finally, a flint nodule. Okay, I have everything I need to make some axes. Kelly spent the day chopping down trees, then took to the empty neighborhood to practice dismantling stuff and taking the planks that remained left over. Okay, so dismantling doesn't give any carpentry XP. Ah, building stuff does. Okay, I mean, the area around here is pretty clear, but I'm still gonna barricade my windows just for a little bit of extra protection and a little bit of carpentry XP as well. As Kelly secured the final barricade of her temporary shelter, a sinking truth settled in her chest. The makeshift axes wouldn't hold out for much longer. If she was going to survive, she would need something stronger. It was time to face her first real mission. Her destination, the firehouse. But not just any firehouse. Kelly set her sights west towards the neighboring town of Ekron. She filled up some empty gas cans and found a little trailer nearby that she connected to her van. Kelly barely got up the road when she had to jump out and biff some brains. She was starting to get tired, so decided to drive past them all. The gun shop, of course. That explained the crowd of rotters. Wherever hope remained, the dead followed. Not even halfway there, and Kelly came across a little graveyard. One of the trailers had much more storage than the one she picked up back at Echo Creek. She decided to switch them out. Kelly was about to continue, but felt a little tired. She had to be on top form, so took a little nap in the van. Kelly parked on the road and went on foot towards the fire station. She had to walk past the Ekron Community Center. It seemed quiet at first, so Kelly took out her crowbar. But Kelly was wrong. It was not quiet. Kelly had been smashing in zombie skulls for days. Her boots crunched over a mountain of the dead, and then she saw the fire station. Her heart pounded as she spotted movement. Firefighters piling through a shattered window. They didn't have any axes on them, but they had some pretty thick jackets that Kelly took for protection. She rushed forward, brushing jagged shards of glass aside as she climbed through the broken frame. She sprinted for the lockers, yanking them open one by one, searching desperately, but there was no axe, no weapons, just a growing sense of dread. The groans thickened. The zombies were coming. Kelly bolted back outside, only to freeze. They were everywhere. Was this how Kelly would die? After luring all the zombies to the main road, Kelly ran for her life, but she couldn't afford to go home empty-handed. She doubled back on herself and braved the fire station once more. Kelly stumbled across what looked like a storage room. She rummaged through the first soggy old box she found and immediately came across what she was looking for. The fire axe. The second box provided Kelly with a second axe. She had hit the jackpot. More firefighter clothing and many more fire axes. Kelly was distracted stuffing her bag, and she didn't notice the danger that lurked nearby. Zomboids flopped into the storage room. Kelly fought them, but her arms were tired. She barely had enough energy left to climb back over the fence. Bodies polluted the campus, but Kelly had no time to process the gravity of just how many ex-humans she had released from their rotting meat sacks. Kelly had the tools she needed to start working on a survivor house, a safe haven for any survivors that may pass through. And as Kelly drove home, she clung to the hope that she was not the only one left. Morning arrived, cloaked in a heavy fog, but Kelly moved through it with a clear sense of purpose. With determination in her step and a brand new fire axe in hand, she wheeled the new trailer a few houses down and got to work. One by one, the trees of the neighborhood fell to the rhythmic swing of her blade. She paused only for the occasional snack, her mind set firmly on the task ahead. For the next few days, Kelly would become a symphony of chopping and sawing. Each cut, each plank prepared, brought her closer to something that felt like hope. She had never built a house before, but all those countless hours watching YouTube in her teens, tumbling in a deep dive doom scroll, now felt like preparation. Somewhere out there had to be other survivors, and Kelly was determined to build a refuge for them. She needed to believe she wasn't alone. By the end of the week, the floor was laid. The first support beams stood in anticipation. Kelly looked at her work and felt a rush of pride. She had done this on her own. But the road ahead was long, and there was still so much more to build. Although she had a mountain of wooden planks, her supply of nails had finally run dry. That evening, under dim light, Kelly took a pair of scissors to an old leather jacket that she had saved. She cut, folded, and glued until a handmade journal took shape in her hands. On its pages, she began to write, cataloging the homes that she had cleared, her nerve-wracking trip to the nearby fire station, and her dreams of venturing beyond this town. Every word was a step towards her next mission. Kelly took pride in her police uniform, but after weeks of wear, it was stiff with dirt and ash. That morning, as the sunlight filtered through the cracks in the curtains, she reached for something different, some jeans and a padded hoodie dotted with cheerful yellow ducks. The old van she'd been driving was barely holding it together. It was rattling louder than the infected that wandered the streets. So when she spotted a bicycle leaning against the fence, she took it, the wind in her face as she pedaled towards the bridge through the empty streets of Echo Creek. Only a few houses remained in this quiet, broken town. She worked her way methodically through them, red pen in hand, crossing off one address after the other. The loot was meager, but in a forgotten warehouse, she struck gold. She had found a sledgehammer, seed packets, and gardening tools. She rode back to the old caravan park where she grew up. The place looked smaller than she remembered, like the magic had been drained from its weathered corners. Once upon a time, she had run barefoot through these lots with her siblings, chasing fireflies and laughter. Now her voice echoed through the silence as she called out. Only the dead answered, shuffling and groaning, dragging limbs. They had no names, they had no memories. But they reached for her, like they remembered something. Kelly fought her way out and didn't look back. Okay, I seriously need to get some heckin' walls up. Oh my god, I am literally breaking bones hauling these planks around. Oh my god, these walls look awful. I know I'm trying to build a safe house, but right now it's giving more haunted shack than a survivor sanctuary. But I can't upgrade anything until I level up carpentry. Yup, guess what I don't have? Yeah, definitely not here. I don't have the right carpentry book for my level. I am literally sweating. Hang on. This jacket, as cute as it is coming off. Janky walls or not, we are making progress. I mean, slow progress, but progress nonetheless. Kelly never really enjoyed working with wood, but she made the most of the experience and decided to try her hand at making a table. She wasn't happy with it, so used her sledge and hammer to demolish it. She repaired the floor that she had damaged before building a slightly larger table. Kelly tried her hand at building some chairs too. They were not great, but sturdy enough for Kelly to take a seat and devour some lunch. Peanut butter and crisps. Kelly took to some nearby houses to start collecting things that she would need, like this fridge that she managed to put in her pocket. She tried to take a bookshelf from another house so she could organize her growing collection of literature, but she failed to successfully pick it up. Oh, this is so cool. Aw, heck, it doesn't have a seat on this side. Oh wait, it doesn't have a seat on this side either. I need to come back for this van. Kelly failed to pick up this sofa, but was able to secure the 2 chairs and a television set. She also snagged a shelf and a cupboard to start storing things in her unbuilt kitchen. She also picked up some actual chairs that looked a lot more comfy than the basic ones that she had tried to build. She placed the old television set and the 2 chairs in the opposite corner. Then finally, 2 kitchen chairs that she took from the neighbors. Kelly thought about how much more comfortable these chairs were as she sat down for a late afternoon snack. Kelly had remembered next door but one had a garage that she had not yet checked. After hopping the fence, Kelly took out her sledgehammer, and in a few short biffs, the door came crumbling down. There wasn't much loot, but Kelly took the box of nails and another screwdriver. Although she wasn't skilled enough to read them, she snagged a few more books to add to her collection. Kelly was tired and aching from the day's adventures and decided to get an early night. Her stomach gurgled as she woke at 5 a.m. She took a seat and had a granola bar for breakfast. She took a stroll out to the van, grabbed a spade and loaded up on some planks that she had dumped out front. She had learned how to make a handmade press. It was used to press clay items and turn seeds into oil. Kelly wasn't sure if she would ever need to use it here, but constructed one in case any survivors passing through would need it. She placed the press outside along with a charcoal burning pit to keep warm on those cold winter nights. And just because she could, inside she placed a pottery wheel and a sketching board. After a quick snack, Kelly headed to the neighbors to pick up a blue single bed and a little cabinet. As she was returning back home, she came across a basement she had not yet checked out. She thought it had burned, but inside was a gaming den. And whilst Kelly did not need an arcade machine, that did not stop her from taking it back home. Some entertainment for the lonely nights ahead. Kelly was exhausted, but that did not explain why she struggled so much to build the bed that she had just picked up. Perhaps some gardening will help Kelly relax a little. She grabbed some tools and headed to the back garden to dig some furrows. As she dug, her thoughts started to wander. Clearly, there were no survivors in her little hometown of Echo Creek. There was no sign of her family, but the fact she did not find them here alive also meant that they were not here dead. So where did they go? She had a look through what seeds she had collected and decided to plant some cabbages and strawberries. During the afternoon, Kelly decided to do a little working out. She stood on the front lawn and did some squats. She was a bit sweaty when she had finished, so Kelly took herself off to go take a nice hot shower. That evening, Kelly tended to her crops and decided on an impromptu adventure. There were some houses just on the edge of Echo Creek that Kelly had not yet cleared. She jumped in the little black truck and started the journey. Kelly remembered one of her childhood bullies lived in this neighborhood. They always looked down their nose at the folks living in the trailer park, and it filled her with some anxiety to know that she could run into those that tormented her as a child. As Kelly turned towards the bridge, she was greeted by an undead visitor. She stepped out to take care of the problem and drew the attention of a few more stragglers. They did not have any good loot on them. Kelly fought through the anxiety to make it to the end of the street. She turned the truck around, ready to make a quick exit if needed, and charged in on foot. There was a sneaky bedroom zombie that she promptly biffed. and in the bathroom, Kelly found a duck plaster and some caffeine pills. Otherwise, there was not anything useful. She took out her hammer and broke down the door to the shed, only to be disappointed by the loot once again. At the house opposite, Kelly shouted out to attract some of the locals. They started to swarm in, but Kelly was not frightened. She had dealt with far worse, so it wasn't long before she had taken care of them. She took some food from their kitchen, but the house didn't have much else to offer. She crossed it off her map and continued. As Kelly ran up to the next house, she realized that she had been here before. The living room looked all too familiar, although it had nothing useful for a zombie apocalypse. As she approached the stairs, Mrs. Johnson came straight for her, arms outreached and snarling. It took a second, but she had to remember this was no longer Mrs. Johnson. And then, there she was. Rachel came fumbling down the stairs, the girl that had tormented Kelly her whole childhood. I guess all the money in Echo Creek couldn't protect from the deadly Knox virus. She crossed each house off her map as she went, nearly halfway there, and Kelly ran into George and Mary, a young couple who had recently purchased a house here after George's promotion at the local bank. Their house had nothing of value, and echoes of their dreams lingered with the smell of rotting flesh. Kelly beat the garage door down to reveal very little. She did nab a fishing book because food was starting to be hard to come by. Only a few more houses left. I am making so much noise right now. I've not checked around the house, so there better be some good loot. Okay, we have got some toilet roll. I found their stash. Probably not going to be much in here, but let's go check. Are you kidding? More toilet paper? Ooh, bookcase. Wait, no, more toilet paper? Of course. Why wouldn't there be toilet paper? Well, maybe they will have some snacks or something. Oh wow, everything is just toilet paper. To be fair, I kind of expect toilet paper to be in the bathroom. That one makes sense. Okay, you get 3 guesses as to what will be in the bedroom. If you guess toilet paper, congratulations, you have won. Please claim your cookie in the comments below. Seriously, there's toilet roll in the gun safe too? Wow. Finally, the last house on the left. Kelly vaguely remembered their blank faces, but her focus shifted to a particularly padded zombie. It was no match for Kelly's swing of the crowbar. A quick stomp, and Kelly stripped the zomboid of all their armor. Kelly thought it might come in handy at some point. Kelly cleared out some local farmland she stumbled across whilst on her journey back to base. As she plodded along the country road, taking in the view, a group of undead gathered at the side of the road. Kelly was starting to feel tired, but she left her truck to disperse of the crowd. She biffed and biffed. Things were starting to get dangerous as her crowbar was starting to lose its durability. How many more zomboids could Kelly take down? Her one and only weapon held out for the horde, but could it hold out for the chicken farm she came across not much further down the road? She ran through the middle, shouting at the top of her lungs to attract the lifeless boids towards her. Echo Creek was significantly quieter and smaller than what she remembered, but with each swing, she took comfort in the fact that she was making the town as safe as she could. Kelly had never wanted to be back at her run-down, disorganized base more. She was low on food and water. Her only weapon had nearly broken, and the only medical supplies that she had was a duck plaster. But then, she heard something coming from the boot, an old radio that she had picked up.
Hello? Is anyone there? Please, we need help. My name is Jonathan Kelly, and me and my sister ran away from our home in Echo Creek. I don't know which way we went. I don't know where we are. Please, they're gonna find us sooner or later. Someone, help. Help. Help.